love. So love when I wanna get another one, I go take and do waiting I love. Waiting you love, oh. No be waiting I love, oh. Waiting I love, I go do one with all my heart, oh. Go no be vodka. Mr. Money Changer. But when I know the ways that Mr. I want to hear what people they love. Want to get a shakeleti love. So love when I wanna get another one, I go take and do waiting I love. Waiting you love, oh. No be waiting I love, oh. Waiting I love, I go do one with all my heart, oh. Go no be vodka. Mr. Money Changer. But when I know the ways that Mr. I want to hear what people they love. Want to get a shakeleti love. So love when I wanna get another one, I go take and do waiting I love. Waiting you love, oh. No be waiting I love, oh. Waiting I love, I go do one with all my heart, oh. Go no be vodka. Mr. Money Changer. But when I know the ways that Mr. I want to hear what people they love. Want to get a shakeleti love. So love when I wanna get another one, I go take and do waiting I love. Waiting you love, oh. No be waiting I love, oh. Waiting I love, I go do one with all my heart, oh. Go no be vodka. Mr. Money Changer. But when I know the ways that Mr. I want to hear what people they love. Want to get a shakeleti love. So love when I wanna get another one, I go take and do waiting I love. Waiting you love, oh. No be waiting I love, oh. Waiting I love, I go do one with all my heart, oh. Go no be vodka. Mr. Money Changer. But when I know the ways that Mr. I want to hear what people they love. Want to get a shakeleti love. So love when I wanna get another one, I go take and do waiting I love. Waiting you love, oh. No be waiting I love, oh. Waiting I love, I go do one with all my heart, oh. Go no be vodka. Mr. Money Changer. But when I know the ways that Mr. I want to hear what people they love. Want to get a shakeleti love. So love when I wanna get another one, I go take and do waiting I love. Waiting you love, oh. No be waiting I love, oh. Waiting I love, I go do one with all my heart, oh. Go no be vodka. Mr. Money Changer. But when I know the ways that Mr. I want to hear what people they love. Want to get a shakeleti love. So love when I wanna get another one, I go take and do waiting I love. Waiting you love, oh. No be waiting I love, oh. Waiting I love, I go do one with all my heart, oh. Go no be vodka. Mr. Money Changer. But when I know the ways that Mr. I want to do.
Eyezu, uye mizu, UK Ireland, muye yezu, UK Ireland chapter, muye yezu, Penny, Minia, and then we do too far, you walk UK Ireland chapter. We do more. Kakana, you may be a pan and cross war. UK or the call Penny. Yes, okay, pan, Omunyi na omusi di na so omunyi dai omusi na hwade UK Ireland chapter number 7th October cash abapo kikim penny meme nda kokko ye de ni otweri ampon kwa me ne da aye 7 December be sade afa bayi John Mahama no kre sami me da kre na de animu no penny because for UK kaka chire me mu penny na berima onyonyamfo kokurantumi cash na di na mebon cash kokurantumi cash okutwere suyo okuji aman kai aye bida aye biafo cash ni nyina ye nipa ba kuna bebo ne din no ho samana no penny no ho samana ne no ni papa no me penny di ye penny na papa ni ka asembi cash o se onu ani ajakwa ye nya okwa na so bibi ni aboa asoroboa okotoko wo yi en ka so ya na mere bi o ka asembi What is that? I be down when you question Kofadi and Sunya me ye and you come. Now, Papa, me one Mrani, me born Mrani. Your friend Conrad Dumbah. Wow, Penny, your friend Honorable Conrad Dumbah. Now, Papa no Penny, was it all call for chairman? Call for chairman, Penny, or call for chairman. Chairmanship position was him, yeah, Penny. May teach a papa call for chairman. I'm saying, no, I sent to see a friend and see from near and fail to me at the board if you quit a cheap dome, the year campaign, if you quit it, no to winning your Fabian tap upon a cheap Penny, a better thing. Papa no, Penny, why you making King's branch chairman pay? Not just this woman. Penny wom, you know quite for that is all shame, Penny. Papa ne Pagana ha of one national of one region constituency to branch level. Wow, Penny. It is a Papa Union for his say or call UK Ireland chapter. Chairman, that's a Penny. 1 to a bar farmer, Papa. And they said you were boss when I'm not to buy it. I bought a cash, Penny. Now, Ubaby said, yeah, Papa, a year Conrad Dumbah. What the number say? What the number 3? Number 3. Now, number 3, not about but just what the number 3 be saying, say, you were a jack cash or back, yeah, and you soon grown. And I can't boom, and a bit of funny day. But I don't number, yes, and a top of penalty, yeah, and a 43 years, Penny, and you Conrad Dumbah or trust what we say, Debbie. First, one and can import your nice what you know, my decor, and my man who goes in the night. I get ding. Oh my God, and why you ding? You be crowd and how more baby or more. This was so a map. I'm a for party, I'm your party ye, because was no, it's a say. And this is to be really 2024. No money per year, money per year. Papa, let me show you. I just said, Mamma and Jones. I was simply crying a day. Oh, Penny, I was him. Kaka, Penny. When you Papa said, Conrad Dumbah. Don't persuade your party, yeah. No, we near the idea. I did. Now, Saturday, or for you for the barbecue cow them. Naja, meant you know, maybe party in company in the year night, and this in I said twice. Yes, any UK Ireland chapter, I mean, I day. Meant you, Rebecca. Obi anu betia papa mefi no na party adwuma na oyem JJ Rollins sunsun ne NDC moja na ete wo mu se woyɛ ready so odebebo NDC no papa yi mesrew se de woyi watu ho so so bebo NDC no koso na bo party no na yenim se 7th October memenda kokoye de ni nyambo a memenda ye ebe inshallah ewurade be kire ni tumi no wayi ni papa pa bi ete se wo edwadi party ni mo ya mi hire ni pa biara a wayi na kuma so beto aba e de ama ye papa yi ya mi hire no ma na kwatenten na de oye biara no enye yedie nhira enkanko ene afundie e fa to ne bra so pen ma mi nchia eye ne campaign team manager no cash eye owusu campaign team manager no e de mo fa owusu no fa better was the one dinner and said, now we dip up at the chicken, be a better dia. And you also a job mema or bamu emu because I've been a power and Casana, uncle whom in the evening. Into the cancer, Munkoso, no more and this window. Munkoso no near money, said ye, a Conrad Dumbah, eba, yet the Wibias, a yezu, a yeza, sharp, a yeza, a yezu, a yeza, who ye mizu.
Suzuza. Arise for Ghana, a patron of the land, for weather and seek your future, development our God, from vision to victory, the end is surely, Democrat, Ghana, our strength in unity. from billion to billion, the NDC shall lead. Stable democrat, Ghana, our strength in unity. Ejo bana Victory! Victory! It's our land. Victory! It's our land. JJ is a winner. Arise, for Ghana, of the trust of the land. Forward and secure future. Development, our goal. From billion to billion, the NDC shall lead. Stable democrat, Ghana, our strength in unity. From billion to billion, the NDC shall lead. Stable democrat, Ghana, our strength in unity. From billion to billion, the NDC shall lead. Stable democrat.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to another exciting time that we think and discuss our politics. It's very important that even as we travel, we would discuss the politics back home. In Akan, we have this we say in Akan language that "Kuntuhaya ninchia neko," which means that it doesn't matter what happens, we would one day look back and go home. And even if we don't look back and go home, we still have relatives there. That is a gun that would always identify us by our tone, by our language, by our name, whatever the case is. We're still Ghanaians. It doesn't matter where we go. We might hold our British passport, we might hold our Italian passports, or our Belgian passports, whatever it is, we still have to go home. And so we have to put our voices in and discuss intelligently on what makes our Ghana a rather stable one. NDC as a political party has always been committed to leading that stable democratic Ghana in strength and unity, and we always be moving forward. Like I say always, that when we were in office the last time between 2009 and 2016, we had every opportunity to have behaved in a manner that will keep us in power for a very long time. But since we believe in stabilizing the democracy, we believe in the democracy that we practice in Ghana, we never did that. When the time was up, we confidently left and gave it. But what do we see now? That the bar has been lowered so much by the MPP, and where the MPP, the direction of travel of the country is very, very, very dangerous. You only have to look at the parliamentary Hansard and look at the debt pile that this NPP government is leaving us. Because, of course, they'll be leaving next year. By the end of next year, they'll be leaving, and the NDC will form a new government in 2025. Of course, with an appeal. The reason being that government being continuity, then, of course, we have to be sure to fix all what they had broken. The country was very much in the right path. You would agree. If you look at infrastructure, look at everything that was going on in 2016. The country was very much in the right path. But people genuinely, and of course rightly so, thought that the NDC government led by John Dramani Mahama could have done better. And so the then candidate Nana Akufo-Addo and his vice, who now shamefully and disrespectfully want to tell Ghanaians that he can now take the reins of power for the things that he had destroyed. He said all manner of things, including certain questions that they have never managed to answer. They said all manner of things, paraded the length and breadth of the country, everywhere. They had traveled on radio stations, up north, down south, east and west, and had said that, listen, the Mahama administration is not doing well. In fact, they have described him personally as incompetent and that they could do better. We jumped into what, or Ghanaians jumped into what would turn out to be a fluke, what would turn out to be a scam, what would turn out to be lies, what would turn out to be people who had sold their family's heirloom and trying very much to come to office so they could enrich themselves and pay those off. Those who had traveled to the length and breadth of Venezuela, to China, to borrow money in excess of billions for their campaign and had promised that they would put the Chinese on there to do galamsey, destroy our land, because they've taken their money, so they have no choice. And this is where we are now. 2020 was obvious. The Ghanaians had spoken, said, listen, let's bring the NDC back. But as you saw it, 137 Parliament 137 was a split, the first time ever, the first time having a Speaker of Parliament coming from the other side. And we all saw what happened. The intimidation, the shootings, the killings, the twisting of arms, the Chima South, the Chima North. Some of the constituencies that they had twisted arms and stolen in order to stay in power. So Ghanaians were fed up, even for the first year. And you saw the astronomical rise in the votes for John Dramani Mahama and the NDC. It was clear that people were fed up. Now go back to Ghana and see on the streets, the demonstrations, the Occupy Bank of Ghana, the Occupy the Jilobi House, and you will see how people are so livid. They don't necessarily have to be NDC people, no, of course, because they are very, very, very neutral people in Ghana who don't care about NDC or don't care about NPP. I've spoken to people. I've traveled the length and breadth of Ghana in the last 3 months. I traveled everywhere, all the regions, and you could see. I was at Sevier, also Western North, and you could see people who are genuine, very genuine people saying that, listen, we don't care if you're an umbrella, we don't care if you are the elephant. All we care is that you have to make life a little comfortable for us, because you are looting the nation. Nana Danso Akufo-Addo and Alhaji Ahmadu Bawumia had really lowered the bar, and they've done so much wrong. We contribute our quota to it from where we sit. We have seen other democracies. There are many people in Ghana who have seen just the Ghanaian democracy. We have seen other democracy. You might be watching me now from America. You have seen the American democracy. You might be watching me now from England here. And you've seen the democracy being practiced here and all that. We have seen the exchange of ideas and all that. And it's time that we've all agreed that we have to propel the country forward. It's time that we pushed the country forward. And whilst we've agreed that it's the time that we have to push the country forward, and of course, we have to look at it in all angles, in all light. And Kasa would Europe until SSA here, and over the years, the NDC chapter in the UK had contributed and still contribute immensely towards the development of Ghana. One man, Mr. Conrad Dumbah, whom I personally know, whom I personally can put my hand in fire, can vouch that beyond the NDC as a political party, this is a man who has Ghana at heart. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, you hardly see me doing Facebook Live. Very, very hard. I've not done Facebook Live ever. I have 5,000 following on my double Facebook accounts, but I don't do Facebook Live ever. But it's important that if you are listening to me and you have friends who are members and delegates of the NDC in the chapter here, tomorrow the NDC is voting for executives to occupy the position of the chapter. And these executives would propel the agenda of the chapter, which would, of course, wind up together with the ideas and the democratic strengthening of a better Ghana with the NDC, and we push forward. So that come next year, December 2024, we would be able to occupy the high office again, and all the things that have been broken, all the hospitals that we promised, which we built, some like the University of Ghana Medical Center, the big one, the Bank of Ghana one, the big one, the Rich, which we were replicating all this in Asante region, replicating some in the northern region, replicating some in the west. But untimely, the NDs left office. We are back to do it. The E-blocks that we were building so that the red, gold, green will stop. So that private schools are now, people are choosing private school over schools like Mfansipim, schools like Achimota School. People are choosing legacy girls over Achimota. Can you imagine? But I would have done same if my kids go to school for only 3 months and come and stay home for 3.5 months. I would have done same. Because now they've ruined education. They plugged everything down in shambles. I seem to be talking too much. I'll introduce my man. He is Mr. Conrad Dumbah, and he is standing to be elected for as a chapter chairman of UK and Ireland. Ladies and gentlemen, he's been the chairman for Milton Keynes branch of the NDC. Conrad Dumbah, good evening.
Good evening, Sankofa.
How are
And
you
a very good evening to our cherished viewers, comrades and non-comrades alike, and fellow Ghanaians who have made time to share the moment that we want to create this night with us.
That's perfect. And how are you today? How have you been?
It's been a long day,
Mm.
a couple of tight
Tight.
deadlines, but of course, we have our private lives and we have the call to national duty, which we express through our various political parties and convictions. And so when we put down the private one at 5 p.m., we tune into our public life, the call to duty.
Of course, it's very important. Can we say that if you have many farms, you still have to attend to all of them.
Amen.
You see, yes, it's important. Now, Conrad, I personally know you, and I must say that I would vouch for you any day. Your love for the country, the Republic of Ghana, and of course your love for the NDC. I have no doubt. Before 2020 elections, when we called on you during your time, you would drive all the way to the east part of London, come on radio with us, and of course, we held the fort moving very well, So when later I heard that you were going for the chapter chairman, I thought, of course, it's in the right direction, not to say that Alhaji Mbaba wasn't doing the work that he's supposed to do. From our point of view, he's done his bit, he's finished. And it's time that we have fresh hands, fresh ideas, hold the fort, and they will all be there. Me, I am very positive that the NDC is coming back 2024. And I know that by 2024, when we finish voting, we form government in 2025. And some of these people, some of our people here, could be going to Accra and helping all other places that we see or we have all the visibility around, to make sure that the government succeeds. And of course, Ghana becomes the place that we were building it until these people came in to curtail it. We will be going into a lot of the discussion today with regards to the agenda and what you're looking forward as we come in to 2024. Conrad, let's talk slightly about you. I will take about 5 minutes to talk about it. What's your background?
So thank you very much, Sankofa. So I'm a Ghanaian, born and bred in Ghana. My parents are from the Upper West region, Wachere, my dad. My mom's from Zingu, not far away from there. But I was born and bred in Bolga. So I lived much of my formative life in Bolga. So age 10 thereabouts when I went into a minor seminary, a Catholic minor seminary called Notre Dame, which I'm privileged to be an old student of, together with Mayor Mbang of South London. He's also one of the students of Notre Dame. We were supposed to become priests, but as you can see, it sounds like myself and Councillor Mayor Dominic didn't quite make the call to the end. But of course, the call to service always exists in many ways. Anyway, yeah, I went to Legon. I trained as an accountant. Came to this country, and practicing my formative years with PricewaterhouseCoopers, PwC, for almost a decade. And then I moved on to Barclays Bank in the UK, then to Santander, and now I practice with Citibank in Canary Wharf, an American bank, for which reason I come to London, 2-3 days a week. So I pretty much live my working life in London, and of course, my private life home. Private life-wise, I'm married with 2 beautiful kids, a boy and a girl, who give me value for money from that angle. Now, from a politics perspective, when I was in uni, I always believed that every young man should first find his feet, and then you are in a position to actually discover your political persuasion, whether you are a progressive like us, or you what you call the right wing type people, the liberal Democrats, center of right or right, and we are center of left, and so on and so forth. And so I joined this political party in this country to give back, because my country gave me so much, a platform to nurture me and give me the dreams and the aspirations that have spurred me to this moment. And that continues to be the key reason why I continue to work with this party. There are many who always ask, oh, what are you doing in politics? If you're a professional, just stick to that. You have so much on your side, so respect. You don't need to get into politics. Politics can be a dirty game. And I ask, who makes politics a dirty game? A room is not dirty until someone dirties it. And if you want to clean up politics, you need a critical mass of people who are prepared to run and do clean politics. People who are prepared to run an issue-based politics, like we see in the West. And so if we come to an election, and this is why, by the way, 11 months and 3 weeks ago to this date, on the 13th of November, I came out as the first of the 4 candidates for chairmanship to announce my bid. And I did not just announce it on the bid of insulting others or running others down. No, I came up with a comprehensive manifesto, which is still there. That manifesto is the basis on which my flyers have all gone out. And for the first time, I brought this campaign, and I said we must focus our campaign on the battle of ideas that will propel this chapter to the next level. Because if we can do that, then we can convince our people in Ghana to vote on ideas and not who you know, on tribe, on religious affiliation, or whatever else affiliation that we bemoan very much in Ghana. And I'm glad that for the first time, this election is the first election I've seen in the UK where we have generally largely focused on issue-based politics. Of course, there are exceptions of mudslinging, personal attacks, and that kind of stuff. But yes, back to the story. On the 13th of November last year, I outdoor our manifesto with 3 key pillars, which we believed will take this chapter to the next level. And why are we taking this chapter to the next level? I personally believe when I do something, I want to do it to the best of my ability. Because when God gives us opportunities, talents, whatever they are, we need to actualize them to the best of our opportunities. And the UK is a sleeping giant. For a long time, we were premier inter pares in the diaspora. It's difficult to say that now, especially with the developments here. And so for me, throwing my hat into the ring was not an insult to anybody or a slight to anybody, but a focus on putting party first and making sure we get our pride of place in this country. So personally, my personal life, my professional life, my political life, I see them as part of the mix of me. I struggle to divorce them. Politics is my passion. You can call it a hobby, but it is my patriotic duty. It may not bring me anything, but it teaches me the joy of association and the fulfillment of making sure that my country is developed through the social democratic agenda. That is me.
Excellent. That's Conrad Dumbah. So then I will ask you, what exactly do you want to achieve in politics? I will tell you what I want to achieve. Exactly what you want to achieve in politics. Let me know.
Thank you very much, Sankofa. It's that age-old question that everybody asks. I know there was one of our sisters who mistakenly got fired by President Mahama for saying that she wanted to make her first $1 million. I know others exist who have all those views. The politics is not where we go to make wealth. Is, you know, if you look at the Maslow's theory of needs, you go with your food, your water, you go up into self-actualization where you are giving more, not because you want a name, but because it's just good to feed back the farm that fed you. It's just good to put back into that bucket from which you sustained yourself or you gained succor. And so for me, and for many of us, I believe in the UK and Ireland, we're not interested in going to Ghana for any position. What we want to do is to contribute our quota from afar to make sure that our villages that are without water get them. Our villages that are under, that currently suffer the pain of schools and the trees. I know somebody mistakenly said trees and the schools. Schools and the trees get e-blocks, that our roads that are impassable get good roads, that those places that should have airports, should have aerodromes that allow quick transportation exist, that the people who need healthcare have that critical CHIPS compound in their community that becomes the primary care avenue, to stop them dying in the middle of moving from one village to the next big city for treatment. That even the people, the well-to-do people in Ghana who have to fly out, have the opportunity of going to University of Ghana Medical Center. You know, and so for us, we come into this country, we have all the luxury of the benefits that exist here in terms of good education, good schools, good roads. We don't complain about potholes often here. Now, we can just sit here and enjoy it, and when we go home, because by God, we all want to go home. What we fight for in Ghana is what we will meet in Ghana when we eventually go home. And so for me, like many others, we are determined to work hard to make sure we can help drive the development agenda in our country, not for our sake, but for the sake of our unfortunate brothers and sisters who are going day in, day out without food, doing 011 or 100 or 010. In other words, having 1 meal a day. We need opportunities, jobs that will be created to make sure people can eat at the very basic, to make sure people can be clothed, people who have decent shelter, like Saglemi House that has been lying there rotting to the ground, to make sure there is health provision. And so for us, it's about not just enjoying what we see here, but helping to drive the agenda to see what we enjoy here being in Ghana. And that's why when we go into Kutuka, we are happy with Terminal 3 because it's comparable to a modern airport anywhere. And so for me, the drive, what I want is development for my village, development for my town. I mean, when I grew up, I mean, Wa didn't have an airport. It had an airstrip at some point. Now Wa has an airport. And so when I get to Accra, I don't have to do that 12-hour trip all the way down. I can fly from Kutuka straight down to my royal city of Wa. That is what we want. And so if we sit here without lobbying and working to contribute to this, I am afraid we will go back home and still meet underdevelopment. And it may be underdevelopment that might become our undoing. If, for example, I end up in Wa, in my little village, which is 5 kilometers from Wa, and I have a medical emergency, I can straight away be taken to the Wa airport, flown to Kotoka, and then I can have the luxury of other teaching hospitals. And so that is the beauty of the development. And we celebrate the NDC, we celebrate President Mahama and President Mills and President Jerry John Rawlings because of these developments, not because of what we get from it. Because as Sefe mostly said, you ask not what you can get from your country, but what you can put in. You know, and so for me, my overriding passion is not to go to Ghana for any position. No, my overriding passion is to see the people in all the communities across the length and breadth of Ghana, from Elubo to Aflao, from Axim all the way to Paga, from Hamele down to Accra. We want to see good health, good education, good roads. And we can solve that through the very many means that the NDC has always adopted. But some of those ideas, we don't need to reinvent the wheel, as I always say. We live here with them. We see the models for delivering them. whether it's public-private partnership, whether there are schemes here that would work in our part of the world, there is no point in reinventing the wheel. And so what we do and what we aspire for, at least I can speak for myself, is to groom the NDC so that we will listen to. If we can get ourselves to that stage where our peers in Ghana will listen to us, if we can manage our own affairs decently, then when we go to them and suggest that you can build that, you can do it this way, they will take us serious. So for me, the passion is developing our people and my own motherland. And if that is selfish, I will apologize not for it.
Thank you so much. If you're joining us now, this is the Facebook Live that we have. And I remind you again that tomorrow is the elections for our chapter, the NDC chapter in UK and Ireland, for our various positions for the executives for the chapter. The gentleman I'm speaking to now is an accountant. He is Mr. Conrad Dumbah, and he's put himself up as an aspirant for NDC UK and Ireland chapter to be the chairman. I decided to engage him tonight and walk us through some of the plans that he has for us. Now, he's put everything into 3 pillars. I read his manifesto and went into it. I have questions about it, of course, that we're going to discuss clearly from first pillar to the last pillar. But before then, genuinely and hand on heart, Conrad, where do you think that we are as a chapter in terms of how we have run the chapter over the years? We won't just take it to even the last administration. Just take it back. How far we come as a chapter? Because remember that this chapter is as big as any other constituency that we know or see. So it has its own contribution as big as any other contribution that the NDC in Ghana would do. And clearly, when we are in opposition especially, they look up to us. The various branches, that's why we tell people, go back to your various branches, help. Logistics will be financed and everything. And I keep on telling people, the 2024 election will be clearly financed because they know now, the MPP know now, that they've lost all avenues and they want to just bully their way through. When they talk about breaking the 8, it's bullying their way through. If we don't put our foot down and our branch executives and our polling agents are giving 500 Ghana from unscrupulous people like Wuntumi and the rest, and they're looking away, we will find ourselves wanting. And they will channel it out there that we can't even count, we can't even read, we can't even collate. How do we want to make government of the day? So it's important that we put all this in perspective. Now, how have we run the chapter to date? Hand on heart, being very honest.
Thank you very much, Sankofa. And I think I say this without any slight to anybody. But the reality of the case is that many in this chapter who have been with us for so long, they look at what we have now and it's far from a pale shadow. Not that it's a pale shadow. There is the reality, the pale shadow, and one that is very, very far off the pale shadow. What we have now is very far from a pale shadow of the once mighty UK and Ireland chapter. Back from the days of Horace Yankra, in fact, going all the way back to the days of Honorable Alex Sebefia, the UK always punched above its weight. The UK, we always had our differences, but we always found a very decent way of running this chapter, such that we were contributing to Ghana rather than sucking away the last energy left in Ghana. And so the current state of affairs, wherever you look at it, this chapter is not in a good place. And I think that all of us as candidates agree to that. There are many examples that you can cite. I mean, the most embarrassing and I would say obvious point is the fact that for the first time in the history of this UK and Ireland chapter, we have been unable, for one reason or the other, to hold our elections more than 13 months after we were due to hold it. And now we have the embarrassment of having our national executive from Accra coming down here to organize the election. This has never happened. Yes, we have had problems. I mean, it is very much the most immediate symptom of the larger problem that we have. We have stopped dreaming. We are just doing BAU. This chapter has been in chaos for far too long. Operationally, we are hobbled. Yes, when it's election time, we go and resurrect 1 or 2 branches here and there. But we haven't grown as much as we should. I mean, in the last 5 years, we've only inaugurated what? I would say 4 branches: East London, Telford branch, Glasgow branch, and Ireland branch. So we've not even been able to do one for each year. That is a terrible embarrassment. At least the previous administration, they managed to inaugurate 5 branches, and the records are there. Those who know would go and say it. Fortunately, the current chairman was the deputy secretary under the previous administration. So he takes credit as well for what they did then. And it's symptomatic of where we've come. We took 4 years to inaugurate a branch like East London. People clamored for it from 2018, and they only got inaugurated February last year, 12th of February 2022. That is not the mark of a chapter that wants to make progress. We have many people across the length and breadth of this chapter. Major cities, I'm talking of Northampton, I'm talking of Bedford, I'm talking of, I mean, you can name them as many as you want. It's only when we get to election, we say, oh, they are in the pipeline. Trust me, when the election is over, pipeline story, yamutu. But you see, this chapter is like that go mango, one ton chene that is broken down by the wayside and needs to be brought back. I mean, I've just talked about operational. When we get to finances, we do know that there is much room for improvement on accountability and transparency in the way we run our own finances. And of course, all my fellow candidates, including the incumbent, have admitted that there's more to do. Why is it that almost every branch we have in this chapter does online banking? I mean, when I was chairman for Milton Keynes branch, and perhaps that's one thing I left out, because my very first day joining the NDC in Milton Keynes, the then chairman, Peter Kumedi, after I'd introduced myself, sat me down and gave me a piece of paper and said, start writing, you are secretary, because the branch was in chaos. So straight away, I never enjoyed even 24 hours as a member of this chapter without responsibility, but I jumped at it. In Milton Keynes, we have always been running online banking for the worst part of a decade. And yet at our chapter level, we don't do that. How many of us don't do online banking? At the flick of your finger, you can transact. We still have that embarrassing protocol of executives have to meet. So today, if you and I have to drink water on account of the chapter, either the chairman and the secretary or the chairman and the treasurer, 2 of the 3 signatories, will have to meet, go into a bank, sign a check to withdraw cash, and then work out how they then spend it. What cumbersome way of doing things. And we are in the UK and Ireland. Even in Ghana, people do online banking. There are better ways of doing it. You have a chapter executives who do not know the state of their finances. And one of the logical consequences is, look, if I am responsible for doing something for the chapter and I come and ask for money and you say there's no money, you didn't tell me how much was there. So how could I go and cut my coat according to my cloth? So you end up having unnecessary friction between executives who have to execute projects and the finance arm, because nobody knows, nobody tells them how much is left. Therefore, when they go and they spend and come, or go and commit to spend and come, you then tell them there's no money. It is not their fault that they haven't been kept in the open. If an organizer or a woman organizer or a communications officer is elected by the good people of this chapter to serve them, who can then say that he is not fit to know the state of the finances of the chapter? You know, and that's also symptomatic of it. Now, coming to this election fast, people would say, oh, but what did you do? My record is in my branch. Everybody, it's an open book. It's as recent as November last year. So you can always go and check. Whatever I say, I won't ask you to do what I say and not what I do. And that's why I gave examples of online banking of the things. But one of the things I will talk about is I was secretary to the Electoral Commissioner for 2018 elections, the second Electoral Commission, because the first Electoral Committee was dissolved for reasons. We were sworn in mid-August. We had barely 3 weeks to deliver an election by 8th of September. We delivered it. We audited the register, so much so that some said it's only because perhaps I was an auditor, I injected audit into our registers, because previously that did not happen. And that has set off the level of scrutiny, increased the standard that has also been applied this time around. We audited our register and we published it 3 times before the election day. First time people came, those who didn't see their names spoke to their branch executives. They gave us more evidence. We looked at it. More people came in. Then another round until we had our final register, and we held the elections promptly on the 8th of September, overseen by Honorable Kwame Eboja. It was then Honorable Kofi Adams and Honorable Kalai who came in here and swore us in. I remember our first sitting to get artifacts was 16th of August, 2018. And by 8th of September, we delivered the election. And to make it even sweeter, on the Friday before that Saturday, effectively, like tomorrow is our election, right? Today, around about 4 p.m. on that day, some candidates for the chairmanship encourage people to go to court and put an injunction on the election. So at 4 p.m., we were served an injunction and told in the face, you do this election and you go to jail. But we found the best way, we assessed it, we spoke to legal minds, and we went ahead. Interestingly, some of the reasons for, there were many accusations of we were doing the bidding of the then chairman, the election wasn't going to be free and fair and all that stuff. Some of those who spearheaded and demonized and attacked the then EC, of which my mother, Beatrice Damenya, who is a current member of the CIC, was also, we were led by Dr. Akwete. Some of those who demonized us the most, called us names, brought in toxic tribal bigotry into the election stuff. Unfortunately for them, or should I say fortunately, you know what we call a poison chalice. When they won, they started singing that this is the most clean, free, and fair elections ever. However, because they had started singing the song that the elections were rigged from the start and it was in favor of the then chairperson, when they now won, some of those who did not win said, but you said it was flawed. Therefore, we believe that you won it through Kululu means. Yes. See, that is the law of karma. Look at this simple election. We have bastardized the Electoral Commission. We have bastardized the vetting committee. We have bastardized the appeals committee. We have bastardized the chapter interim committee, CIC. And these are made in the main, all those committees, except for a few names, are former executives. Now, I'm not suggesting that former executives are angels, but there's a protocol for dealing with it. I can take issue with you on a job you've done without demonizing you. And when you have executives going on public platforms to call people names, insult them, get into even age discrimination. Why would you say old people are doing this? Old. As if age is the reason why your people have been qualified or disqualified and so on and so forth. And why is this happening? Because we suspended our standing order. So as you and I speak now, the very bylaws that govern us were suspended about 5 years ago under this administration. So now we are all a law unto ourselves. And Oga Kwata Kwata will now choose who he is going to take to what forum. And Accra has now become our first stop. Meanwhile, you look at Articles 47, 8, and 9 of our Constitution. It's very clear. There's a protocol for how you escalate issues. If I have an issue with you, Sankofa, I go straight to your branch. If you and I are the same branch and we have an issue, I report to your branch. The branch will set up a committee to investigate. If you are found guilty, you will be what? Dealt with. If you are found innocent, then that's it. Now, if you are found guilty and you disagree, you escalate to the next level. During the chapter. Chapter would empanel a committee and do the same thing. And if chapter feels that you are still guilty, you have the right to go to what? Accra. But what has happened now is that because we've made ourselves a law unto ourselves, anybody who develops a small kwashako, you are picking the phone straight to IRD or to Accra. And it's sad that people don't get referred back to the process. And this is why I say that, you see, we're like now in the wild, wild west. Nothing works. Embarrassingly, an election that we were able to pull off with 3 weeks notice 4 years ago. Of course, the same challenges we have now. And some of the characters that are engaged in the rampant indiscipline in this chapter now were doing exactly the same thing, but they were managed very well. Unfortunately, we have lost our mojo and we are very, very, very far from a very pale shadow of ourselves. And that's why this is the context in which we need to resurrect this chapter. We need to restore decency, discipline, order to this chapter. We need to start dreaming about the next level, the ambitious things that will make this chapter stand out. We need to position this chapter in its rightful pride of place among the community of chapters in the diaspora. And of course, we can only do that through being disciplined in how we operate, through injecting competence in managing your finances.
Sorry to come in or sorry to talk about you. We'll get into competence, then we'll get into your manifesto. Then we see exactly what you have to offer. Just in case you're tuning in now, it's 10 minutes to 8, and I'm speaking to an chairman aspirant for UK and Ireland branch of the NDC, which we are voting tomorrow. And he is Chairman Conrad Dumbah. Before I leave, I would ask him his number on the ballot paper. I know it's number 3. I just hope I'm right. So we will get there before I leave. Chairman, let's go into your manifesto. I had a manifesto a while ago, and I've been taking some time off and studying manifesto. First and foremost, I have to congratulate you for putting the manifesto together this way. It's very easy reading. I read volumes, as you can tell, as a lawyer, especially family cases, big bundles. I read volumes, and sometimes reading things which are so verbose is quite difficult. But I look at your manifesto and the way you pillarize it, if there's any word like that, into 3 pillars and all that. We're going into it now. Now, you talking about building a better chapter for the future, being your pillar 1. Now, we've discussed what is going on in the chapter, what has gone on in the chapter, why we are even late for election after a year and 1 month. It's a little shameful, to be fair, because when you go back to Ghana, we finish all elections there in Ghana. In fact, everything, including our flag bearer. So I don't know why our chapter had been standing. Before I left for Ghana, I heard we were going to vote. I went to Ghana for 4 months, came back, and we still haven't voted and all that. But we would move forward from that point. Now, if you say we're building a better chapter for the future, run us through it and let us know that the pledge of this building the better chapter for the future.
So thank you very much, Sankofa. As you rightly said, we positioned our manifesto message along 3 pillars, the tripod. And interestingly, back when I put this manifesto together, November last year, little did I know that it was the good Lord speaking to us, because we ended up with everything of ours being number 3, the Trinity. But we thought about, you see, we are in operational turmoil. We are in financial, if you like, opacity. So we need to up our game there. But it's not just enough to stabilize our finances and accountability or transparency and to rejuvenate our operations. We need to think about tomorrow. We want to see what should the chapter look like tomorrow. And so I started my very first pillar by preaching the message of hope, the message of a vision, the message of that shining beacon of a chapter on that hill. Where do we want to get to? Because we need to challenge ourselves with very, very, if you like, worthwhile challenges to work on, and not just BAU. And so the first thing is, if you ask me, what kind of chapter do we want to have in the long run, not even in the short term, because we need to have our short term, of course, but the long-term strategic view. In the long term, if we start with looking at our sources of funding, at the moment, a lot of our funding, if it is not dues, it is donations from members. And I keep asking, there's an opportunity for us to diversify our funding sources. Instead of a donation, why can't we get somebody to buy something with a profit amounting to the value of what we needed for that donation? Now, this doesn't come out of anywhere, so I'm not going to pretend that this is groundbreaking. Remember, I said when I joined Milton Keynes earlier in my, about over a decade ago, almost a decade and a half ago, we were in challenges. Numbers were out. Of course, there was virtually civil war in the branch. One half left and encouraged others not to come. The other half was struggling to stabilize and literally trying to stop the bleeding instead of trying to get us fattening ourselves. We were running severely short of cash. And I know many in London then who used to come to support us at our meetings. One of the things we did was we decided to produce ourselves party t-shirts to ourselves. And I keep thinking, what if this chapter develops that as one of our funding sources? You can imagine we have t-shirts, whether it's John Mohammed's t-shirt, emblazoned, or NDC plainly, or any other candidate, but with chapter on it, UK and Ireland chapter, so that when we storm Ghana, we are wearing our own chapter t-shirts. We give visibility. Or having your branch at the back, so you know you are from South London, you are from North London, you are from Sheffield, you are from Liverpool. But then the most important element here is that at the moment, if we need t-shirts, we order them from Accra, we bring them here and we share to ourselves. I'm sure Accra also gets it from China, also from other sources local. But then we have printing houses here that can print good quality t-shirts for us at decent cost. What if we decided that we would rally the branches together, rally the chapter, start a commercial operation where we will design, and there are very good designers in this chapter, and produce our own party t-shirts, mufflers, key holders various party merchandise and sell to ourselves. The profit we make will go into our operations so that we are not just relying on the news force or the periodic donations for events. And I believe that this is the kind of sector I want us to move to in the next 4, 5, 6, 7 to 10 years, where we can be self-sufficient and not have to always compete with our brothers and sisters in Uzulezu for the little or the few t-shirts that the party has imported. Let what is imported into Ghana from China for a campaign stay in Ghana. Let us produce our own and sell. Next election, we are going home. Let us even produce our own, not only to wear, but also to go and give free of charge to the various people. This is a sure way of, and it's the beginning. There will be other ideas that we can do things for ourselves, self-sufficiency, whilst generating income. Now, apart from that, one thing that is dear to my heart is about us getting a permanent base of operations. And I'm not just talking about just go and get a place and leave it and then it runs. We need to think through it carefully for many reasons, some of which I may not go into now. But we need to make sure that whatever base of operations we identify is commercially viable. One that not only ourselves use, but allows the opportunity for other Ghanaian associations to use. Perhaps we can beat the market by being discounters on that, be the little of venues if we can. But at least it brings some little money in. As you said at the beginning of this, politics in Ghana and campaign and election is all about financing. And so some of these things, and this is strategic, it's not just immediate, it is strategic. And I'm sure our viewers appreciate the difference between a strategic objective and a tactical objective. We will work on it. I'm told that Horace Yankra promised this, and I'm glad that it's back on the table. Fortunately, when we started this, some amongst us said it's not possible, we can't do it. But as we speak now, I'm glad to know that all my other 3 contestants, my fellow brothers in the race for chairmanship, have all now rallied that, yes, it is something we must look at and start thinking. When we busy ourselves, occupy ourselves with such strategic issues that are not easy to do, but rewarding if achieved, there will be less time for us bickering and fighting amongst ourselves and calling ourselves names. And that is the kind of vision that I'm talking about when I say a chapter for the future. One of the other things I'm talking about is, I'll come down to the specifics of finances at the branch. What is the model for the future that I think we should run in this chapter? At present, 60% of your dues, raw dues, goes to chapter. Chapter keeps half of it, which is 30%, and sends the other half.
Percent?
Right? So you split it 40, 30, 30. 40% stays at the branch, 30% goes to chapter, and 30% goes to Accra. The minimum number of people you need in a branch to kick it off is 20. Let's even assume on average, and we do know there are some of our branches that don't have up to 20 active members at any point in time paying dues. Many only pay dues when elections turn up. You come to mid-season and you find virtually nobody paying dues, including sometimes executives. If you build a picture of a branch that has got 20 members, which is what is needed to sustain per our regulations, and each of them is even paying that dues of 20 pounds. Now you multiply of the 60 pounds a year. Every year, every 10 people is 600 pounds. So 20 people is 1,200. Now you take that 1,200 and they say you only keep 40% of it. 40% of 1,200. And if my arithmetic is still correct, off my head, 40% of 1,200 will be about 480 pounds. If 40%, because 10% is 120, 240, 360, 480. Now this branch has met, let's assume they meet 12 times a year and they pay venue fees. Now you estimate how much they pay in the venue fees. If they're even paying, say, 120 pounds or 100 pounds each time they meet. By month 5, they have spent 500 pounds, but only 480 pounds stays with them. So by month 5, they have not even reached the middle of the year. They are already broke by 20 pounds. They spent all of their 40% for the year. By the time they get to the end of the year, they have spent 1,000 pounds on venue alone. I'm not talking about the refreshments that they have to provide when people come. Now, how do you grow branches like this? You end up in a situation where we, the branch executives, when I was a branch executive for well over a decade, every time we were dipping into our pockets as executives to run chapter operations, to buy water and stuff like that. When we had June 4th and others, executives will levy themselves. If we had anybody with a welfare issue, executives will contribute. And so the little money that you have there is not even enough. And then to add insult to injury, you are told that you can't spend beyond the £480. So if you collect 1,002, keep £480. We don't care how you operate. The remaining amount, right, pass it on to Accra. Now, if you want, look, the heartbeat of our chapter is our branches. And the branches don't operate in vacuum. Activities cost money. And so we must invest in the dues we collect in the growth of those branches so that they can organize better programs. Because if I'm an executive and I'm struggling to survive and I have to be contributing, you will find that at some point I'll also fall by the wayside. And that's how come we easily get ghost branches or branches that go dormant, because the chairman is literally bankrolling it, which is not right. And so we have to change that model to keep more resources at the branch level so that they can keep growing till they become big, like the South Landings, the North Landings, the Milton Keynes, the Birmingham, so on and so forth. And what I am proposing is this. In any business, Sankofa.
Yes, so that means you're taking us to the delivery step, isn't it?
Yes. We don't share revenue, we share profits. Because once we get our revenue, we take out the cost. Whatever is left, which is the profit, we then share. So why are branches sharing revenue instead of sharing the surplus or profit in this case? And that's why I am saying from a strategic perspective, and that's something we can even do more urgently. Even if we don't change that 40, 30, 30, the first thing we do is that famous branch we're talking about, that collected 1,200, right? First thing, deduct your cost of operations. So if your total cost of operations, venue-wise and other allowable costs is 1,000, your profit is 200. It is that 200 that you can then say, you keep 40% of it, give 30 to Accra, give 30 to chapter. When you do this, you leave more resources for the branch to work with, to organize beautiful programs like our barbecues. Almost all our barbecues in Milton Keynes, we've been holding barbecues since 2013. The latest one was the biggest one, and I'm proud of what our new executives have done on that. Every single time, it is run on donations, not from our dues, because sometimes we don't even have enough dues. It's run from donations. But if you run beautiful programs, East London held a barbecue. It costs money. When you run beautiful programs, you get Ghanaians from all walks of life coming. They come there, they see it, then they join. That is traditionally how we recruit members at our parties, barbecues, when we go for or welfare events like funerals and so on and so forth. And that's why, for me, I think that we need to look into that model to make sure branches get a larger share of the revenue as their base of operations. And of course, the fourth strategic one is me saying we target to raise a six-figure sum. Minimum six-figure sum is £100,000 to support 2024. Like you rightly said, the MPP have stolen all that money from Bank of Ghana and everywhere, stashed it under their beds like Cecilia Dapa to release on election day. We can't outgun them on money, but we have to do our best. And I believe it's a vision, it's a target we set. If you were to ask me, for example, how will we achieve it? Now I know my brothers incumbents say, yeah, we have almost or over 1,000 members in this chapter. Now, if you have 1,000 members in this chapter, and you were to say, guys, let's aim to get this amount. If it's 100,000, it means each of us has to commit between now till 2024. So if we've got 12 months to go, each of us commit £100. If anyone can do more, great. Anyone can do less, great. But if you average it at £100 for 1,000 people, that's 100,000. That money is not for me, and I don't want credit for it. We have all supported the party the last time, whatever level it is that you supported. But I am saying we can do this. And if we agree to do it, once you elect me tomorrow in 24 hours, once by his graces and his blessings, you give me the nod, that will be our first order. We will start tabulating the list and work out how we can raise this money for President John Dramani Mahama and the NDC to come back into power to build those schools, hospitals, and clinics that we need. Don't do it for me, but do it for our better collective, for the NDC and for your country. And so I believe we can do that. And we're not just going to ask for donations from our members, but again, our supporters. We have many people who see eye to eye with the NDC. We have many people who empathize with us and believe in us and would like us to come back to power to do what we've been doing. But they just can't bring themselves to join the party for one reason or the other. We need to reach out to them, help them, tell them this is our target. If we can exceed that target, that is another feather in the cap of the NDC. Yes, I agree that the last contribution was unprecedented. But good, better, best. May I never rest till my good is better and my better is best. And that is why I left that to last, because it's dear to my heart. It is not about Conrad Dumbah. I will not go and campaign anywhere on the back of raising this man. No, it is about saving Mother Ghana. And we can only save Mother Ghana. And if we can focus on some of these things, even if we fight each other, fisticuffs, because we are trying to raise money to save Ghana, I will join that fight. Not fight each other to the bottom, not fight each other on various sectarian and divisionist grounds. And so for me, this is the strategic view. What I talk about is the better chapter, a chapter that is built of, if you like, proved for the future. That's what I meant when I put that particular item in my manifesto. And that's why it's number one. A better chapter for the future is what we need.
For the future. All right. Thank you so much. We're going to the second pillar very shortly. It's 6 minutes past 8. Just in case you're joining us now, I'm speaking to Conrad Dumbah, who is the chairman aspirant for the UK and Ireland branch of the NDC. Of course, the party in waiting to form government in 2025, inshallah. And Felicia Yeni says, good evening to you. Adam Sunu said, vote number 3 for Conrad. Ken Podolski Akoto Bismarck says, more fire, Bossman, and the incoming chairman for UK and Ireland. Very brainy and very submissive. And Sapi Agbo says, Chairman Conrad, well spoken, well done, and congratulations. We know you are going to win. And Ken Bismarck says again that, Chairman, you are already a winner. Voting for you is like voting for NDC in 2024. We need to revive and we need to come back. Good evening, comrades. And this one is coming from John Kaburi. Good evening to you. Sapia says, change is coming. And I also have Johnson Deborah says that these are the people that we need to lead the NDC. Congratulations, Conrad. We definitely will vote for you. And Abuaji Dixon also says that I think that this chairman, for the first time I'm hearing him, is even cut more for a bigger position in Ghana rather than just the chairman here. Okay, he wants to put his house in order here first. Chairman, let's go to the financial transparency, prudence, and accountability, which is the pillar 2. It is very important because I said, and I told everyone who is going to the election this year, especially the gentlemen and women I went to help back in Ghana when we were having our elections, that this is the time that we should be able to put our foot on the ground, get very good eyes on everything, of course, go every corner. Going every corner also means that money. And if money sent for particular programs, money sent to help us, having no transparency in them is going to be a problem. Even if there are transparency in them, but we use them anyhow, when there are no financial prudence into these things, it's very, very worrying. And also, most importantly, accountability. Because mind you, that in as much as you and I, once the parties come to office, you never know the agenda other people have. They may want to start money in their pocket. They don't really care if we come to power or not. Few hours for you to become chairman. We fully support. This one is coming from Jibo Ishmael. Send this one in, Ismail. Thank you very much. So, Chairman, let's go to the pillar 2. You said financial transparency, prudence, and accountability. Please, if you are being mindful of the time as well for me, I should be very grateful if you are. And you tell us about that, although it's very important to me. Then we go to our third point.
Yeah, so thank you very much. So on that one, you would see the words, the operative words are right at the top there. Now, when we talk about transparency, it's making sure that those who have a right to know or a need to know. And in my view, any executive should have a right to know the standing of their finances because they help to make decisions around spending. The example I gave earlier, if I don't know how much we have left and you just tell me go and spend, and I go and spend and come back and you tell me we don't have money, you should have told me. And so for me, what I'm proposing from day one, we transform the way we manage our finances to a very transparent model. Very simple, easy ways. The things I have said here are a complete way of solving the current problems we have. I've talked about one of them. For example, from day one, we'll register for online banking. There are people who say, oh, that means treasurer can just go and draw all the money for himself. That means you do not know the various models that exist. I work in finance and I do know how we can do this. It's not rocket science. In any case, branches have been running it. Yeah, Milton Keynes has been doing online banking. We've not heard anybody run away with their money. So why are we scared? But the first thing, once myself, my secretary, and my treasurer are put on our signatories, we'll go to the bank, we register for online banking. Every payment that we have to make to another party via bank, we will make it through that bank account so that the audit trail is there. It's clear. The days of cash, we will stop it. More importantly, if you are not an officer responsible for money, you have no business handling that money. There's a treasurer and deputy treasurer. Let them do the spending. Whether I'm chairman or I'm secretary or I'm organizer or women's organizer or communication officer, I go and get my bill of activities. This is how much we are going to spend. We procure, we pass on to you, and then the treasurers go and make that payment so that we can hold the treasurer accountable. Because if we start doing that payment, now how are we going to hold him accountable? That's what we call maker, checker type arrangements. Somebody makes those payments and we, the others, can check them. If all of us are helping to make it, who's now going to check the watchman? Because we are the watchmen. And so we must make sure that model is in place, right? If the treasurer can't do it and wants someone to do it, there must be written authority for that to happen. And of course, we will also introduce a spend and expense model. We've been doing that in Milton Keynes for a long time. So if the branch needs to buy 5 crates of water, I go and buy the crates of water. I bring the receipt, the products, and on the basis of that, the executives will approve it. Most of our barbecues, that's what we used to do. We executives, okay, you buy that, you buy that, you buy that, you buy that, meat, drinks, and stuff. We all see it, we all enjoy it. Post-event, you put the receipts on there, all the executives approve it, and based on that, the treasurer is then mandated to go and reimburse you. It is a safe way of doing these things. I'm not talking rocket science here, my brothers and sisters. These are basics that we are accustomed to here. You know, and I'm talking about what? In addition to how we spend, how do we let our fellow officers know? Every quarter, chapter executive meeting, the treasurer stands up and say, in the last 3 months, or since we last met, this is the balance in our account. When we met, it was 100 pounds. Now it's 200 pounds. The difference is that we receive 200 pounds and spend 100 pounds. So the net point is gone here. So everybody in there knows the balance. And if anybody has a question, ask her, what did you spend it on? Oh, I gave it to Conrad to spend on this. And Conrad can say, oh, yes, I did indeed take it and I've given my receipts back. Or no, I didn't. Therefore, real-time feedback. We will also implement an accounting policy to guide how our financial operations run. We need a structure that says this person can do this. This is what we should do and can do. Every serious entity has these kind of policies. And that will allow us to make sure that in terms of running our finances, they are guided by policy. We will put that into our standing orders as well. You know, and we will appoint, there are many accountants and auditors in this chapter. Put me aside, I'm a guru boy. There are better ones in this chapter. Let us put those into our chapter finance committee so that they can support the treasury in implementing our accounting policies. They can support the treasury with periodic reviews and giving suggestions on how to improve, save money, or do what we do better when it comes to financial operations. And of course, we also create standard templates. When I talk about a template, it's easy. I don't have to be a finance person to be a treasurer at the branch level. And by God, it's not the case that all our treasurers are accountants across the chapters or branches. Therefore, we need to have a standardized way by which we report. It makes it easy. You just put the numbers in and it spits out your standard income and expenditure account. So it becomes easier for them to account to us. We don't want any treasurer spending endless nights, burning the midnight candle just to produce accounts for us. Let's make their work easy. Let's template the way we want it. Let's roll it at the chapter and recommend to the branches. And of course, part of accountability, you know, I talked about, we will come to having annual congresses. At those annual congresses, I want us to stand in front of the members and say, from a financial perspective, this is what we started with, this is what we ended, this is what we did with it. If we did anything wrong, you can hold us accountable. And if we did right, you can encourage us to carry on. On top of that, accountability is not just about money, but also if I am organizer, What did I do in the last year? I'm communication officer. What did I do in the last year? Every officer will have the opportunity to put their own scorecard on there. These are the activities I planned. This is the one I achieved. I didn't achieve this because of that. That's accountability. Now, of course, someone will say, why can't you just produce your own account and nobody will know whether it's correct or not? And that's why we will set up an audit, 3-member audit committee and have an audit calendar. The professionals we will put in there will be able to hold us to account. And they are able to perform regular reviews of our chapter finances and operations and make recommendations to us, as well as help to make sure that the accounts that we will be presenting at our delegate conferences are audited. In other words, they have been looked at by an independent, competent professional who agrees that what we have put on paper is a true and fair reflection of our operations and our finances. These are basic things we can do under Pillar 2, under financial transparency, prudence, and accountability. And of course, prudence, the only thing I want people to remember from the word prudence here is that we will focus on value for money. Value for money. A standard implement, get 3 quotes, and make sure you get the one that produces the best value for the chapter. That's what we want to do under stabilizing our finances under Pillar 2.
All right, thank you. We have a question here, but I'll bring the question quite later. It's I don't know who's coming from. I would get it. I'll get it. I think it's Alfred Don Kanya. Sorry if I didn't pronounce your name well. Said, Chairman Conrad, what would you prioritize on your first 100 days? I'll let you come on that. Chairman, let's go to the third pillar since we're running out. It says strengthening the chapter and branches and expand our territory. What are you driving at?
So I'm talking about making sure that our chapter is stronger, our branches are stronger, and of course we expand. One of the first things, the bedrock for progress and for strength is to have order. Any country that has no order struggles to be stable. And that's why we must restore our standing orders and revise them to make sure they guide our operations, so that we are very clear on how we do the what that we want to do. We must restore discipline to this chapter. Again, the standing orders should help to ensure that, be it financial discipline, be it discipline in our conduct. And we must take no prisoners if we have to stabilize this chapter. Because what is paramount is the progress and success of this chapter, not our individual egos. I don't come from my home, the warmth of my home, to a meeting in a cold room to pick fights with others. No, I come there because I believe in progress. And that's why we also have to ensure that our constitution is followed religiously. I quoted Articles 47, 48. We must adhere to those. But we must also be firm and very fair in our conduct in leadership. No nepotism. Know who you know. When this Esumasi does something, because I know them, you go away. The other one does something, I club with a mallet. No, that should not happen. Above all, I give a commitment that we will hold our elections on time. When I am chairman, if our elections are delayed by 1 day, in fact, on the stroke of my tenure coming to an end, I will resign. Or we will build it into our standing order such that any executives that fail to hold their elections on time, at midnight of their anniversary of their tenureship, they are all deemed vacant and they are stopped from contesting. We must encourage ourselves to be able to do these things rather than allow elections to just eke out, whether it's for our benefit or because we don't care. But crucially, I also want to take the chapter to the branches. Branch chapter activities should be hosted at various branches, so that we can go to the Manchesters like we did, Liverpool. We should go to Glasgow. We should go to Ireland.
Very important.
That we are bringing the chapter to their branch for that season. So every branch will have the opportunity of hosting a chapter event. So if we have June 4th, Milton Keynes has traditionally hosted June 4th for many years. And it gave us a lot of dividends in terms of members came out of nowhere to join. I mean, Ghanaians joined. And after that, straight away, we found that they were joining us. We want to do that for the parties, the branches. We want to appoint executive member. Every executive member will be allocated as an ambassador to a branch to make sure that they can give us the temperature at the branch. They can support the branch in whatever little they can and report to us when there are challenges there. Early warning signals. If they are struggling, we intervene, we help them to stabilize them. Not wait till they are dead and we spend energy trying to revamp or resurrect them. I will commit as part of this taking chapter to branches to visit every single branch at least once a year. It's not going to be easy. I know that. We have 13 branches now. We're 12 months in a year. It means at least 2 branches will be visited in the same month. But it is worth doing to lead by example. And of course, every branch, we will build what we call a ROPA, a supporters register, and a ROPA working committee at each branch. ROPA working committee at the branches, because they meet their people, they know them. We know Milton Keynes more than anybody else in North London or South London or East London. Equally, they know their territory. And we, at that level, we identify NDC supporters who don't want to be members, put them in the register so that we can convert some of them to members. If we can't convert them, at least we can use them to vote for us if ROPA comes. We will make sure every branch works by giving them the support they need. No undue interference. I'm not going to be that chairman that goes to a branch and say, give me this or give me that. Otherwise, I'll report it. It's not my business. The business of running branches is for the branch executives. And if we as chapter executives cannot support them, then the best thing we can do is stay aside and let them do the down tasks that they are doing. And that's why I will establish a flat working structure. While I was chairman of the team, we all work as a team. There is no primus inter pares. Chapter and branch executives will work as colleagues for the betterment of this chapter, not to pull rank on each other. But talking about pulling rank on each other, each office must also work. I'm not going to be interfering in the work of the communications officer. If they want to hold their press conference, I will support them. And if I can't support them, then I step aside. I should be supporting and equipping each office to succeed. Because look, the role of the chairman is a facilitator. Chairman has no job. Chairman's job is to make sure all the other officers succeed. When you succeed, I succeed. So if I stand in your way as communications officer and you don't succeed, it's a reflection on me. Because they say the fish rots at the head. And that's what I am committed to do. And I'll ensure that we implement our standing orders and our constitution at our chapter level as well as at our branch levels. In fact, I'm thinking of we model our chapter secretariat in line with Article 34. Article 34, the secretariat is not just the secretary and the deputy. If you read Article 34, it encompasses other or all the operational type executives are put in there. So we will make sure all of them are there so that when a decision is made at that secretariat level, it's covering all of the key people that need to be there. I encourage all of us, let's read it and let's make sure we implement this so that we don't have people stepping over each other because we don't know what our roles are. Article 34 talks about it. Now, I also talked about taking the party to the people. Remember, take the chapter to the branches. Now, how do I take the party to the people? By expanding our branch network. And that's why I say we will set up at least 8 new branches in our 4 years. At least, not at most. Hold me to it. We will work hard to make sure this happens. And the grounds are fertile for our expansion. We can even double up our current number of branches. It's possible. On top of that, I'm going to maintain an active and vibrant, these are the 2 keywords, active and vibrant website across my entire administration. Not wait till it's election. I mean, for a long time, our chapter website that was inherited by the current executive in 2018 was literally dead. It was only in April this year, after campaigning had come vigorously. I'm not attacking the chapter executives. It's an oversight on their part, and I'm sure they admit that. But after people started attacking and saying the website is dead and gone, then we go and form a new one. That is not how you grow a society. Sustainability. We are behaving like the way we build roads in Ghana, where you build the road, you don't maintain it, it deteriorates, go and take another loan to build it. We shouldn't be doing that. We should make sure that our subscription for our chapter is coming as direct debit straight from our chapter bank account. So that even you don't have the problem of a secretary or treasurer forgot to pay, therefore this website has been shut down and we've lost the domain. No. But why are we doing this? If we have a vibrant website out there, we can do things to promote it to the top of Google search. So that Ghanaians, when they type, they will see it. They click into it, they see our topical stories. We can link up with our mother media homes in Ghana, put their stories on there for people to read. They are seeing it. And if they want to register, we should have a hot link there where they can click. And it will allow them to input their details that come to the back end for somebody to register them. Virtual registration. And that's what I'm talking about. This is dovetailing into my agenda to digitize our registration. As the founding president of NDC Professionals Forum, many who are on there, including some chapter executives, they know we have moved on away from filling forms into a simple Google forms where you go in, you click on, you input your details, we get your details at the back and we register you. Very basic. That's nothing. We can consider such one and elevate it to another level. And of course, I talked about ROPA committees and the supporters platform. Now, let me try and wind down in the last few bits.
Please, if you will. Yeah.
I want to have a listening ear for the sentiment of the people. And so I said we will have an annual or biennial delegates conference, depending on whatever one suits us, annually or biennially, so that we discuss ideas for growth and share experiences among branch executives and members. If this branch is doing that well, we learn from it and we do better. We start bringing the ideas that go into our manifesto, not wait till election comes, Accra writes to us to say, bring your ideas, then we start up a manifesto committee. It must be real time, right? I'm also talking about having that annual state of the chapter report on which all our officers will report on our progress, however little it may be, so that members will see what we have and what we are doing. And of course, I want us to start giving voice to members. We can conduct periodic opinion surveys and feedbacks through simple Google forms. Maybe every 6 months, every year, we do a survey. If members think that we are going the wrong direction, give us feedback, we turn around. These are not rocket science stuff. These are easy to do. My final thing I want us to do as a chapter, and let my brothers and sisters, let's take ourselves serious on this. I want us to share the good news, spread the good news, and at the same time, develop our talent. How can we do this? I want us to establish our own radio or TV station in the UK and Ireland. There may be different models, but what should be important is that we are the driving force behind it. The editorial policy is favorable to us, and we have infinite availability and airtime on it to propagate the good message of the NDC. I commit to this, and I can guarantee you I will deliver this within the first 100 days of my administration. No ifs, no buts. Hold me to it. Anybody, do not vote for me if I ever contest for any other position in the chapter if I fail to deliver this to you. And of course,
thank you.
As part of this, we will partner with our Radio Goals and other sister media houses to carry their content on our place. And we will make sure that our communications team members play a key role in this to develop their own talent. I look forward to members of UK and Ireland Communications Committee, one of them, two of them, setting up media houses in Ghana, so that we can also take charge of the media space in Ghana and not complain that the NDC has taken charge of it. If we had to do that, we must develop our talents here. If 10 people from the UK and Ireland can use this TV station that we're talking about to develop their talent and start something in Ghana, we will encourage our government when we come in to support them so that we can also capture the media space. This is the long and short of the operational agenda that we have. And I believe sincerely that nothing in there is beyond us. We have great talents in this chapter. Many I've spoken to during the course of this campaign who are keen on these things, and I know we can do it, and we will do it. Let's get this done together.
All right. Thank you so much. If you're tuning in now, it's been a very long conversation. In fact, very intellectual one, direction that is going. And there you go. You have people setting up propaganda saying that the NDC is not made of the intellectuals. And if you see people like Conrad, who has started as what Price Waterhouse through Barclays, Santander City, then you would mean that people just go out there do the propaganda. It is us, the NDC, who had even brought a professor of law to become the president of the Republic. So what would people be talking about? I've really enjoyed this conversation. Now, if you have any questions, please put them right now in the chat room, either on our Facebook side or in the chat room. I'll read them for you. Alfred Dong, the 100 days questions have been answered, and he said as you hold him to it, and the 100 days. Nana Fum says, wow, Chairman Conrad is ready for the job and we support you. Chairman, you very, very ready for the job, and personally, I would also support you. You've really gone into it, and we are very happy. These are some of the activities and the vibrations that we need going in 2024. I'll ask you this question. I know that you are a modern, very contemporary politician, and you would agree to this question. Some would say that no, it's not going to happen, so I'm not going to answer this question. But I know how modern you are, so you're going to answer. Someone is asking the question that if you didn't win, are all this going to go over the bar? We're not going to go all this because you didn't win? Tell us.
Far from it. You know, my record over the last 4 years, at some point, there was a clamor to actually dismiss me from this chapter, if not this party. And it wasn't because I was doing nothing. I was chairperson for Milton Keynes branch. But I worked hard to make sure that East London, I was one of those who championed East London. There was no chapter executive meeting that I would go to that I would not make the case for it. So much so that branch chairpersons were excluded from attending. Speak to the good people of East London, the good people of West Midlands, which is Telford, even the chairman of Glasgow. I do not like blowing my horn, but even as a branch chairperson, I played a crucial role. In fact, ask the current chairman for the whole of 2019. And this is something that is interesting. The last election was 2018. In 2019, whilst others were out there demonizing Chairman Conrad because they said he was against the current chapter executive, behind the scenes, I was working with them. Of course, we clashed over East London and over Telford. They didn't want to do it. It was I that referred my very good friend and senior in the seminary, the current chairman of Glasgow branch, Dr. John Ayanaba, to Chairman Alhaji Mbalba. Ask him. We still have WhatsApp correspondence on that. I do the job, I hand over. It was I who referred Mr. Tete in Leicester. And thankfully, Chairman listened and took it on board and went with the secretary and deputy secretary to Leicester. And I was proud when I saw them on BBC Leicester after they had gone to attempt to get the branch set up. Of course, there were problems there. Swindon branch, my former youth organizer, Frank Fiaka, our former youth organizer's brother in Swindon. We stabilized him, myself, Adamu, the communication officer, and many others. We went there, Kofi Adoli as well. We went and set the grounds. When it was fertile, I called the chairman and we handed over. So the reason I haven't said a lot of this is I don't want to undermine my fellow executives at the chapter level. I'm just a branch chairperson. They are the ones responsible for finishing it off. Of course, I was the founding president of NDC Professionals Forum. I've handed over to Chairman Ken. I didn't just sit down and say, because I'm not in power, I will eat anything. I got into trouble. And I had to write back to answer to Accra certain letters that said I was running rebel activities, undermining chapter and blah, 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 blah. The letters are there and the members of Pro Forum know it. So I pray this document, the reason I put it out is if any of my brothers wins, they are free to implement it. In any case, most of the ideas, almost all of them are adopted it now. You talk about digitization, they've adopted it of our registration process. When we started talking about active website, they implemented it. So it's like when President Mahama told Nanado, you should give free water, he gave free water. You know how they were copying our manifesto. And I don't have a problem with it because it's a battle of ideas. And if you see a good idea, implement it for the betterment of this chapter. I don't have a problem supporting the implementation of these ideas. They are not going to bring food to my table, but they're going to bring this chapter to its pride of place among the chapters and make us all proud. None of us is proud of where we are. So rest assured, I'm not that type. People said it for a long time and I just kept quiet, including the fact that I'm taking this chapter to Milton Keynes. I'm not sure how you can take a whole chapter and bring all the branches across the country and dump it in Milton Keynes. But for me,
well, Milton Keynes is also part of the chapter.
Well, that's a good point to make. But when people make those, I mean, yesterday I got many calls of people who have our change agenda at heart, saying, why am I hearing you are taking this chapter to Milton Keynes? I'm like, hang on. How do you even take a chapter to Milton Keynes? So who's going to tell me where is the headquarters of the chapter at present? Well, the fact that the chairman is from London doesn't necessarily mean that that's where it's based. We are working virtual.
Yeah, it's not true.
And why would I take it to my home or my garage? For what? We want to change the chapter and the things we are talking about. London will remain our de facto head of base of operations, no doubt. And of course, we try and set up one in Manchester as well. But what is important is, look, win or lose, I am stubborn about the growth of this chapter, the party, and my country. I won't relent on it, and I'll make no apologies for it.
Thank you very much, Chairman Dumbah. I'll read some of the text, but before I read them, it's going to be my last reading. Then you go to your final message. Now, on the ballot paper, the ballot has been done and all that a couple of weeks ago. On the ballot paper, where do you lie, and where is the election going to go? And I'm going to be there tomorrow myself. Where is the election going to go on? And again, the branches, how are they going to get there? Do everybody know that, yeah, they have to come, and if they have to come, has there been any provisions or anything, or they'll come uh, just by themselves on the train, or maybe drive on whatever decision or what they decide to do?
So first and foremost, the election is supposed to happen in Enfield at number 148 Wells End. There's a school there. There's a particular school. So the postcode has been put on various platforms. If you are struggling to it, feel free to reach out to me or any candidate. I'm sure we'll all be happy to direct you. I'm told that elections will start promptly. Polls will open at 12 and close at 7. So you can come in, vote, and leave. Be part of history. In terms of most branches, I know some branches are coming there by public transport. I know if you're in Milton Keynes has arranged a coach to convey its members there. And something we need to look into in the future. We should be able to avoid the situation where branches and members incur huge cost to be able to vote. That's a different chat for a different time. But what's my number on there? Like fate had already determined it long before we got to it. I said my 3 pillars, of which many people have followed, and I'm glad they did that. And I picked number 3 for Trinity. You know, the number 3 is deemed, it was Pythagoras theory. He's not just famed for that theory, but he also said the number 3 was the noblest and most perfect of all numbers. And if you look in the Bible, whenever God wants to epitomize completion, wholeness, divine completion, he uses the number 3. It's not for nothing. The number 3 is quoted in the Bible 467 times, if my memory is still working intact. Wow. You know, before the cock could crow 3 times, Peter is supposed to betray. Samuel was called 3 times, and then he went to Eli and asked, what do I do? And Eli said, if you hear it again, say, yes, Lord, I'm listening. So the number 3 for significance, of course, the Trinity, and Christ resurrected on the 3rd day. Let number 3, the mark of resurrection, the mark of the Trinity, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, be the number you endorse on the ballot paper for the position of chairmanship. Give us that privilege to serve this chapter and move it to its rightful place. We are not where we should be. We are far away from where we should be. We can get there. And I'll work with you to make sure we get there.
Thank you so much, Chairman. We're going to end here, but all the text messages coming from Joshua. Malcolm said, please, Chairman Dumbah, not to forget Birmingham branch when it comes to holding chapter activities. That's what Joshua Malcolm is saying. Yeah. And in Tim is also saying that these are the kind of people we need to run the chapter. They will make it attractive all again. That's Joshua and Tim. And the one coming from who are just all full of praises for you. I'm sorry. Full of praises for you. Chairman, we'll be looking forward to seeing you tomorrow at Enfield. And I'll be there myself. I'll be there around 1:30. Yeah. And I'll leave around maybe 3 o'clock. So I'll stay a little while. And after voting, I just leave. Listen, I thank you so much. What is the last thing you wanna tell the delegates, the NDC fraternity who are listening, who are coming to vote tomorrow? What is it, the last thing that you want to say to them briefly?
Thank you. What I want to say to my fellow comrades, my brothers and sisters, my aunties and uncles, is this. We all agree we are not where we should be. So we can't keep doing the same thing and expecting different results. We have this opportunity to change what we have. We have this opportunity of an ambitious agenda to execute, which should take us and rightfully position us to be able to have influence in Accra and to contribute to the development agenda, not just within our chapter, our party, but also for the betterment of our country. I plead with you this night, as you reflect on my manifesto promise and those of my other brothers and sisters. I pray the good Lord will touch your heart to realize that I am the servant that needs to take us to the promised land. I pledge to be your Moses. Although we will cross the Nile, whatever happens later is a different matter. But I'll tell you, I will not relent, just as I did not relent in my other positions at Milton Keynes or being a secretary to the chapter electoral committee 5 years ago, or in many other roles within this party. We shall not rest until that which needs to be done to get this chapter back to where it should be is done. And we shall serve this chapter with decency and discipline, with a focus on unity of purpose, because together we can do this. And above all, with the competence that the NDC is legendary for and is noted for. Let us put our best foot forward, and I believe I am that foot. Give me your nod, vote number 3 tomorrow, and let us start rebuilding this chapter from Sunday. Thank you very much, my brothers and sisters, and I'm very grateful for the pleasure of your company this evening.
Thank you. Thank you so much. God bless you. Thank you. On that note, this is where I draw the curtains. Thank you very much, Height TV, Height Africa. We are so grateful for making it to us. We've spent an hour and 41 minutes. Tomorrow, I'm going to be there myself to vote. I'm a member of the South London branch. And so please come in your numbers. Come in your numbers. You can have your line because he opens late. He opens at 12. You see, 12 is a very good time for you to have your line in. If you set up, Father, I'll be leaving home around maybe 11:30, 12. And it will take me about 2 hours to get there, vote. And after that, maybe I head towards Sellers Park to see Crystal Palace, my dear Crystal Palace. Trump, Nottingham Forest. All right. Until then, God richly bless you. God give us tomorrow. And of course, and NDC always staying very strong and propelling Ghana forward. So thank you, Heart Africa. If you draw the curtains now, we should be very grateful. God bless you.
I want to hear what people they love. Want to get a shakeleti love. This love and I want to get another one. I go take and do it in I love. Waiting you love, oh. No be waiting I love, oh. Waiting I love. I go do what we done my heart, oh. Go no be vodka. Mr. Money changer. But I know the ways that Mr. I want to hear what people they love. I shakeleti love. This love and I want to get another one. I go take and do it in I love. Waiting you love.